I have a sign on my forehead that says, yes, yes, gullible, yes, you know, that kind of thing. So thank you all very much for the warm welcome. And especially to Margaret Hill and the Scholarship Committee for inviting me to share just a few words. So I'd like to focus my remarks on the scholarship recipients, or toward the scholarship recipients, but I do hope that several things that I say may resonate with all of us in the room. It's been about a month, young ladies, since you walked across the stage to receive your high school diploma. And I understand from many of you that it's in about a month that you'll be setting into your new routine in college. Many of you are leaving somewhere around the middle of August 12th through 16th or 17th or so. So it's just about a month away. You've seen your living rooms, parents and grandparents. You've seen your living rooms and dining rooms transformed from the place where applications have been completed to now being nothing more than storage lockers. You have bedding, you have ironing boards, you have mini fridges and crates and microwave ovens and all of those things stacked up and all levels of dorm paraphernalia and college paraphernalia. You're probably students splitting your time, your social media time that is, between your high school friends and your future roommate or suite mate. Your thoughts may even have shifted from the excitement of high school graduation to something that you might recognize as nervous anticipation of the new adventures and opportunities that await you. As you look ahead to this next step, I'd like to encourage you to think about three things that really can mark your future: passion, purpose, and potential. One of the things that I enjoy doing is reading. I don't have a chance with all those other things that I'm doing. I don't have a lot of time to read for pleasure, or as much as I would like to because of my job and other things that I'm doing. But when I have the opportunity, I do enjoy picking up a good book. I've been on vacation, actually I'm still on vacation this week. So last week and this week I've taken 2 weeks of vacation, and I have only checked my emails 7 times in that many days. That is really good for me. But I did pick up a book, and I read Natchez Burning, 800 pages or so. Greg Iles, if you haven't read it, it's really fantastic. The next one is Bone Tree, and I refuse to pick it up because I know I don't have time to read it, but it's on my list for maybe winter break. But Natchez Burning is a great book. The Art of Possibility by Rosamund and Benjamin Zander, great book. The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, if you haven't read that. So those are just several. But in the last probably 3 years, I also read Sidney Poitier's book, The Measure of a Man. Poitier has written 3 biographies, all of them chronicling from slightly different perspective his life's experiences. His second book, The Measure of a Man, is his autobiography, where we learn about Poitier's journey to becoming a pioneer in film and on stage. Many of you know Sidney Poitier, maybe from his role in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, the precursor, for those of you who are now in this teenage generation, the precursor to Guess Who, not the same premise, but different movies. Maybe you know him as the singing laborer in Lilies of the Field, or the demanding teacher in To Sir with Love. His careers included directing, humanitarianism, and political activism. What's really compelling to me about the book is that it begs the question, how is, in his case, how is a man measured? How is a man's life quantified? How do we know that we've run the race that's been set before us to the best of our ability? So that's what I'd like to talk about today, but to twist it a little bit and really ask the question, what is the measure of a person, a man or woman? What is the measure that the measure lies in his or her ability to understand, embrace those 3 things: passion, potential, purpose. Passion. So as you think about what comes next, you are probably thinking, well, I have a passion for this, whatever X is, and I'm going to pursue that when I go to college. When I went to college, I did not do this. So maybe a subtitle of this conversation that I'm going to have is things I wish I had known or things I may have told myself if I were really good, right? So what would I say to my younger self? I pursued entered college with an idea of pursuing a passion. But what I quickly realized is that the passion I was initially pursuing was not mine. It was somebody else's. I was the first in my family to go to a 4-year university. And all of my mother's siblings, including my mother, they were all, for the most part, in nursing fields. My mother was a nurse, her 2 sisters were nurses. I have an uncle who's a nurse anesthetist. The other 2 uncles were electricians in the trades. But as the first person in my family to go to a 4-year university, and everybody else had been to training school, I was supposed to go to 4-year university and become a doctor. Doctor, because as a nurse, you can do that through training, not at a 4-year university, right? So I entered the University of Virginia, the only place I applied, not recommended, I would say. Only place I applied, entered University of Virginia with the idea that I'm gonna be a doctor, medical doctor. Walked into my chemistry class, first semester, first year, and by the end of the class, said to myself, well, maybe I'm not going to be a medical doctor. And then in my second semester of my first year, I took college calculus. And I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that I was definitely not going to be a medical doctor. And I beat myself up about that because I felt like I was disappointing people. I was disappointing my family. But then as I stepped back and had to decide, okay, so what am I going to do with this college experience? I started to think about, well, what gives me greatest joy? It was books. It was reading. I love the way an author can put words together and create this place that transports you from one place into their world. That was something that I loved doing. Then I remembered also that my younger brother actually had a learning disability. And my mother didn't have a lot of time. She worked shifts. And often I was expected to tutor my brother and help him with his schoolwork. And I enjoyed that. So putting those 2 things together, what does one do when college chemistry and college calculus don't work out? And reading and books are your passion. What do you do with that? You transform that, you translate that into education. And so once I decided that my passion, or recognized and remembered what my passion was, that's when I began to find true success, not just with grades, but also with satisfaction, personal satisfaction, and wanting to continue along that path. So, as you young folks are thinking about your next steps, really think about what is your passion. Spend some time thinking about you, and give yourself permission to focus on you. The next is your potential. What are you capable of? What could you do if given the opportunity, the resources, the time, the encouragement? Our potential is actually limitless. And here's a news flash. You can do, be, go, anywhere your imagination and your efforts can take you. Each of us has great potential. Sometimes we just don't know what that potential is. After my dreams were dashed, and I went into the classroom as a classroom teacher and thinking about what is it that I will do with this professional path, teaching. That's what I wanted to do. But someone began to plant seeds of what could be next. I didn't see my own potential, but others recognized it in me and began to plant seeds. So someone said to me as I was a curriculum specialist, have you ever thought about being an assistant principal? And my immediate response was, absolutely not. And that person came back to me about 3 or 4 months later and asked the same question, but also said, you should think about it. You would be really good. That opened for me a door that I had shut. And so people will plant seeds of encouragement, and you can decide whether or not those seeds will fall on fertile ground or fallow ground. Fertile ground grows things, fallow ground allows the seed to die. And so you can decide, am I open to what people say to me? Am I willing to listen? Am I willing to consider? And if you are, and you allow that seed then to be watered. So after the individual said to me, you'd be really good, she then kept coming back to me and saying, and here's something that maybe you want to do. Why don't you try this? Have you ever considered giving me ideas and thoughts and experiences examples of things I would experience in the role, and helping me think through how I could bring something to that opportunity? So since I believe that everything that happened is part of a bigger plan, I had to make the decision to act like I was part of something bigger. It wasn't just about me, but it was about what others saw in me. So I'll encourage you to do the same thing. And the last P is purpose. Knowing our passions and harnessing our potential fuel our capacity to fulfill our purpose. Each of us has a purpose, and many of us focus lots of effort on understanding why we're here in the first place and what our gifts and talents are to be used for. You each have unique gifts and talents. Yeah, I know other people who speak well. Yeah, I know other people who work well with kids. Sure, I know other people who are gifted in science. But no one is just like you. You are unique. There's something about the way you interact with people. There's something about the way you embrace science that's different from the person next to you. And so, you have to decide then what that purpose is and how your unique talents and gifts feed that. So I'll leave you with this one idea, this one poem, and you'll have to listen particularly to the last few lines. It's called Invictus, and it's written by William Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Thank you. Congratulations. Live into your purpose, into your passion, into your potential. You are the master of your soul. Thank you.